Hey guys, this is 97 Lego Maniac. Be sure to check out my other social media accounts and my Patreon. Links are down below. I usually don't play video games, but when I do, I choose Halo. Back in middle school, my friends are always into gaming while I just stay back and watch them play. I couldn't afford a console and my parents want me to focus more on studying than wasting time playing games. Yeah, I had a strict childhood, but hey, I swear, once I make a living and graduate, I'm definitely getting my hands on the Xbox 360. That's on my bucket list. Halo was the game my friends play the most, and it's the one I remember having the most fun, next to Smash Bros. I wasn't invested in Halo because of the gameplay or how much fun I had, but I was really interested in the lore, the story, and the characters. For a very long time, I've always wanted to make Halo customs before I actually made my first painted custom. This is more of a passion project for me, and I hope you guys appreciate the amount of effort I put into these figures. Master Chief was not a fun figure for me to make, and that's mostly on the paint. This is my second Master Chief custom, but this time I made him based on his Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary. To start off with a helmet and armor, I got them from X39 Brick Customs. I then extended his legs and sculpted additional armor on his arms and legs. I also added some sculpted bits on the crotch section, and I sculpted his ammo pouches around his waist. The gun is from Brick Arms, and I painted it gunmetal, and I painted the ammo reader. I forgot to extend his arms, so they may look a bit too short for some people, but it doesn't bother me personally. I decided to go with Captain Keyes' appearance in Halo Anniversary because I prefer the white look on the UNSC. His hair is a Zane hairpiece with major sanding, and I painted his face except for the eyes. I then painted his neural implants instead of just sculpting it because number one, he was the first figure I finished, and number two, I didn't feel like going back and redoing it. His whole torso is covered with white E-tape, and I added some additional layers of E-tape for his suit to give it a 3D effect. I also used E-tape for the collar, and I used Procreate for the shoulder pauldron and his medals. His Magnum pistol is from Brick Arms again, and I made his pipe using cutting a tiny piece of Lego lightsaber blade and gluing on a tiny rubber wire. Sergeant Johnson was the figure I wanted to make the most, and I'm glad I waited 4 years for this because I don't think I could have made him this awesome back then. This is based on his appearance in Halo 2 Anniversary. I had this random Brickforge hat for a long time, and I sculpted on top of it to give it that boxy shape. It was not easy blending Procreate into plastic seamlessly. It took a lot of sanding and a lot of patience. His head is all fully painted, and it was actually not that hard to paint, unlike other figures which we'll get to. His armor has to be the best thing I ever sculpted. I started off with the collar, then his chest, and I topped it off with sculpted pouches. It was not easy to get this level of detail, and I'm glad that I did the best I could with this figure. His shoulder pads were hard to make symmetrically since I had to press on at different angles with my X-Acto knife, but in the end, it looks pretty okay. The only E-tape I added on this figure is his belt and the cross on his back. Everything from the ammo pouches to his canisters were all sculpted by me. His cigar is made with a Lego flex tube and a tiny Lego antenna piece. I decided to paint battle damage on his suit, such as silver wash and etc., because his armor in the game is not squeaky clean. Now onto the playability feature, his gun. Just like Captain America, I added a magnet on his back, but this time instead of hiding it behind the torso, I sculpted it on top of it so that way the magnet is closer to the tiny piece of metal wire glued onto the Brick Arms gun. This enables easy storage and will take up less space in my display case. Keyes wasn't as difficult as I thought. Her hair is this old Anakin Skywalker hairpiece with the sides cut off and some additional sculpted bits. I was tempted to fully sculpt her hair, but sculpting hair is not easy at all. Her face is also fully painted, and I used E-tape on her torso, pauldrons, and belt. Like all female figures, I sanded curves on the side of her torso. I then used Procreate to sculpt medals on her suit as well, and if I had to choose my least favorite part to make, it has to be painting those yellow stripes around her arms. Yellow paint is very hard to work with because it seems too watery, and every time you paint a layer, you have to apply more and more on top until you get it just right, without making it too chunky. Like all weapons, her SMGs are from Brick Arms. Lord Hood is definitely super fun to make. I got this hat when my friends and I went to a Lego store during the semester, and I knew this would be great for a custom Lord Hood figure. What's great about it is that Lego prints the important details on the hat, such as the black section and the golden line. His head took me like 20 attempts to get it right, because painting eyes is the toughest part when making a minifigure. Unlike Captain Keyes, I decided to sculpt Hood's neural implants instead, and just like Captain Keyes, I used white E-tape to create his suit and collar. His pauldron medals and chain are actually all sculpted by me. In the game, his chain is supposed to go under his armpit, but if I do that, then there is no room for his arms, and it'll look very weird if I painted it on the side, so I decided to make sure it goes under his waist. It's not accurate, but I had to make the sacrifice in order for his arms to have some articulation. Last but not least, we have 343 Guilty Spark. I was almost going to exclude him from this video because I had no idea how am I supposed to make him. I was just thinking of making him out of Lego with no modification and just paint the details, but where's the fun in that? I used a Lego brick with a hole, used stud pieces, a neck brace, and additional pieces, and I glued them all together. I used Lego circular round piece and I drilled holes into each of them and sculpted around the front section to cover the gaps. The sculpt is a bit uneven unfortunately, so the details may look a bit off. It's not my best work, but I do think it's actually innovative and creative. To quote Guilty Spark, I am a genius. My favorite part has to be the optics, since this definitely works well for the figure. That's all, and I hope you guys enjoyed this showcase. I'm glad I finally got those figures out of my way after many years. I have future Halo figures in mind, such as Buck from ODST, the Didac with working LED, and potential Reach or Covenant customs as well. Hope all my unique ideas inspire you guys to be more creative with your figures in the future, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.